And welcome back, everyone, to a birthday request from Yaju World, who asked the question, what if Cujo, from Cujo, had been buried in the pet cemetery? And, look, we actually see what happens when animals get buried in the pet cemetery. So if you're not familiar with Pet Cemetery, which I'm sure anyone watching this is, in Stephen King's novel Pet Sematary, a family moves to this rural area in Maine, if I'm not mistaken. And unfortunately, the cat gets killed, gets run over, if I'm not mistaken. And they're told about this place called a pet cemetery, where if you bury something you love, an animal, a loved one, whatever, it will come back, but it doesn't come back good. It comes back pretty messed up, if we're going to be honest, because sometimes dead is better. And yes, their little girl gets hurt. Or actually, it's a little boy in the original, but it's a little girl in the remake. And their child gets killed. They bury them, and the child comes back evil. So, now it's because of apparently a Wendigo's curse. That's what the issue is with the pet cemetery. So the question is, if Cujo were to be buried in the pet cemetery, first off, would he even come back? Because there is a rule and stipulation with the pet cemetery. You have to bury your own. Now, if you don't, if you don't do that, as far as I know, they won't come back, because it is still a cemetery. Like there's still graves in there. My guess is the curse must have afflicted the cemetery after it was created and people were buried. But yeah, if the rule holds true that you bury your own. In fact, I'm going to look up the pet cemetery right now. Pet Cemetery. It's spelled with an S, by the way, not a C. Pet Cemetery. Pet Cemetery. There we go. Cemetery. Okay. Okay. Pet Cemetery. So, okay. Let's try rules of the. Let's try Pet Cemetery rules. Okay. So, all right. Okay. Key things and features in Pet Cemetery. Lowest degree for the loss of dollars, spirals out of control, fear. Okay. Okay. And Pet Cemetery, the cemetery's message is that the laws of nature should not be broken. Okay, that's great, but that's not. Anyway, plot elements. Okay. Pet Cemetery. All right. Let's see. Stephen King Wiki. Here we go. What are the rules of the Pet Cemetery? Plot, adaptation, audio. They don't really give you the rules of the Pet Cemetery. I can't find like 8 ways to change the Pet Cemetery. They also did a series recently too. How and why and how did the Pet Cemetery? Why and how did the Pet Cemetery thinking? Okay. It's not the Pet Cemetery that brings the dead things that the pets put there don't come back. Basically, yeah, that's the thing. They don't actually come back because it's not them coming back. Would it be legal for a person to start a pet cemetery? Thank you, Cura. Would it be illegal for someone to start a pet cemetery? I think what they mean is like an actual legitimate cemetery for pets. My answer to that would be probably not, actually. I mean, as long as you got the right permits and stuff. Yeah, I can't find anything that. Let's try rules of the Pet Cemetery. How about that? Rules of the Pet Cemetery. Let's try that. Death is a central rule of the death, and trying to avoid it can lead to tragedy. Well, that's not the rule of the book. That's the moral of the book. Internet's such an idiot. What did the force best gag mean? Hold on. Oh, rules and regulations. That's name, weight, and deceased pet, date of birth, desired date of pet. No, that's an actual pet cemetery. I'm gonna say, oh no, you're a legitimate pet cemetery. Okay. At some point, I remember going back, I can't find anything that lists the actual conditions for the pet cemetery. But I very much remember you're supposed to bury your own. That's what you're supposed to do. So if you don't bury your own, then I don't think it works. Like Cujo wouldn't come back. And therein lies the catch-22 on this whole what if. There's no way on God's green earth that mother with her child dying of dehydration and possibly having rabies at that point is going to be burying that dog. She's going to let someone else do it. So, and then get as much medical attention as she can. But in a hypothetical where they do bury the dog, like out of reverence, it was my dog. I loved Cujo. Why was Cujo go bad? Cujo got sick, honey. I'm sorry. So they bury Cujo in the pet cemetery of all things. And Cujo was already rabid. So what happens when you take a rabid animal who's gone crazy? A rabid animal's gone crazy. And you put him in the pet cemetery. Is it going to be like a reverse Uno effect where they're back to normal? I highly doubt that. Instead, you now have this rabid zombie dog running across the wilderness. Now, would it try to find them again? Like, they're probably going to honestly move out of that area. If we're being honest, they're going to get out of there. They probably don't want to be, or at the very least, move out of that house. Cujo probably finds the house, like, where are they? Then he starts going on a killing spree. They hear about this dog, and they start to freak out. Like, no, Cujo's dead. We killed Cujo. And then they probably see Cujo staring at them. It's like, oh my God. Now, the thing is about Pet Sematary is the fact that they are more or less zombies. They're a specific type of zombie, though. They're not just the undead. They are, if I'm not mistaken, what they is something considered a remnant, which is a corpse, but it's different than a typical zombie. Okay. In Pet Sematary zombie. Let's try that. Pet Sematary zombies. Zombies? Question mark? Because they're not. They are and they aren't. It's very. Okay. Who controls the zombies in Pet Sematary? It's Pet Sematary about zombies. It is one of the few zombie films that actually deals with how we humans fear death. Okay. So I mean, yeah. Okay. They are called zombies. They are considered zombies. They're not the undead, rotting corpse type zombie, though. Hell, they're not even the flesh-eating type zombie. They're just, if anything, they're the supernatural type zombie. What I mean is the show Supernatural. That's the type of zombie they are. They are a corpse that is brought back, but there's something missing out of them. And there's something bad now in them. There's no flesh-eating. There's no decay. I mean, as far as we know, there's no decay. It'd probably, given enough time, there would be. But unless like supernatural magic shit is dealing with that. But they're angry, they're evil, and there's something about them that's just gone. They have no qualms about hurting individuals anymore. So whatever was good in Cujo, even if it was buried under the rabies, would be gone. Now, that all being said, however, the zombies in Pet Sematary are not really that hard to beat. Like, for example, he, in the original movie, he injected his zombified son with I can't remember what he had in there, but it was drugs. He drugged that kid up and it affected him, just like it would affect him if he was actually alive. So, and that means that if you just hit him, shoot him, I mean, shooting him might not stop him. It might hurt. They might still feel it, and they might put them down temporarily. But unless you're blowing their brains out, typical zombie thing, or blowing their heart out or something like that, they're probably not going down immediately. There also is implications of enhanced physicality with them, especially especially in the series that you got a little later on, or a couple years back. They do seem to be slightly stronger than average, but so Cujo might be getting a bump from that. But the thing is, people see the rabid dog, they're like, there's no, put it down, boo, 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 boo. And they're not just going pistol, they're going shotgun on that son of a bitch. They're going hunting rifle on that damn thing. They're going to put that thing into the ground. Now, that being said, unless it's like what would be considered a lethal hit, Cujo might like play dead and then just get attacked by then put a bullet in his head, put multiple rounds in his head. That's ultimately how Cujo was killed in the movie. It was a round to the head, if I remember correctly. But yeah, ultimately Cujo being put in the pet cemetery would be more nightmare fuel, but it would not be like the worst end all be all scenario you could possibly imagine. Now bury a xenomorph in the pet cemetery and get back to me. The problem with burying anything in the pet cemetery is it's simply that it's coming back evil. And maybe it's going to be a little bit more resistant to like harm, just not dying the traditional way. But unless you've got like say Superman, and Death of Superman lives, or Death of Superman, and you bury him in the pet cemetery, unless that happens, you're not really in a, and now someone's going to give me that what if, I know it. You're not really causing much of a different circumstance here. You just got a zombie dog going around now that's attacking people. So yeah, there's really not much to say there. The other what if you had given me was what if Chucky was in Toy Story, which Andy, who should look? We're gonna play a little game. It's called Hide the Soul, and just like puts his soul in. All right, now am I hiding my soul in Andy? I'm gonna go kill my mom. Like that Chuck would probably think, oh God, these things are all wow, they all voodoo too. Why do all these toys have souls in them? But yeah, no. Anyway though, that's my thoughts. Thanks for watching. Happy birthday, and I'll see you guys for the next one later.